Hello, this is your friend Holland Timmins, otherwise known as the Connoisseur, and today we'll be taking a look at Hellboy in the epic Hellboy review finale. First of all, we have The Crooked Man, which has several short stories. It's an anthology collection. As you can see, there is a short story about the Crooked Man. It's just really interesting. It has to do with witches and Satanism and all that. It's really cool. Along with a little how-to on how to sell your soul for a witch ball. Honestly, I think that's a high price to ask for a simple thing like a witch ball. Anyway, I don't even know if it works. Anyway, as you can see, it goes on. Anyway, there are several other stories, too. Like, this one, I believe, has to do with Blackbeard's ghost. You know, pirates, ghost pirates. It's awesome. There's more, of course. A lot more. Honestly, it's a lot of fun. But let's move on, shall we? On to the next one, The Bride of Hell, which honestly is my favorite short story. Out of all the Hellboy collections, it's my favorite short story. First of all is a story that is the basis for the graphic novel Hellboy in Mexico. This story has, like, a flashback to the 1950s when, like, Hellboy was in Mexico getting drunk and, like, fighting vampires with masked wrestlers. And it's really cool, and it leads to the Hellboy in Mexico graphic novel, in which there's the story, which I think is called Hellboy Gets Married, in which, you guessed it, Hellboy gains a wife. It's really interesting, and that'll come back later. But, let's go on. Actually, this story inspired my own writing. There's a little section in here I'll show you. Yeah, this is like the heart of the house. It's underneath the floorboards, and anyway, Hellboy just freaking annihilates it, as you can see. I have a short story in which, well, it's actually a longer story, not a short story. It's a long story based off the short story, which I have like a heart in a house, and my character pretty much annihilates it. Has almost nothing to do with that except for that part, so I took inspiration from it. I'm not really ripping it off entirely. Anyway, this one has to do with vampires and a vampire apocalypse going on. It's really cool. But this is the one, The Bride of Hell. Actually, if you see, there are cults. There's Asmodeus, which is like this ancient demon being from hell. It's like this huge lion with wings, and it's really cool. Anyway, it also has to do with the fall of Acre in the Crusades, and this headless knight that fought in the fall of Acre. I just think that's really cool, especially since I've been getting into the Crusades lately. I would recommend this channel called Real Crusades History. It's really informative, and it just totally is, and it tells you about both sides of the issue. They get experts and everything. But anyway, back to Asmodeus and the Bride of Hell. It's just like, as you can see, this is Asmodeus in ancient Jerusalem, brought before King Solomon. He's essentially brought there to help build the temple. Anyway, it's really cool. I don't want to show you how the story ends, because it's just such a cool twist. As I said, there's a clue as to what the twist ending is. If you've read it, you know. But if you haven't read it, check it out. Buster Oakley gets his wish. This is like Hellboy and Aliens. It's just really cool, you know? Anyway. Then is like the finale to the main Hellboy storyline. This is like where everything hits the fan. You know, Hellboy is in England, he's quit drinking, he's with Alice, who was a baby at the time, but he reconnected with her a couple volumes ago. Anyway, I like this part because they're in this car, you know, just minding their own business. When this happens, this guy shows up and just, like, wrecks them. It's so cool, you know. It's just an epic fight between these guys. And, yeah, as you can see. Anyway, there's Nimue, and Merlin, and you see, like, Nimue's story from the Arthurian legend, and, what happens to her, and you see that, essentially, it is the end of the world going on. This is what Hellboy has been building up to, and it just keeps going and going until Hellboy has to go to this tower, surrounded by an army of demons, you know, and it's really a cool story. And then the Ogdru Jihad appears, taking over Nimue's body, turning her into a frickin' dragon, which Hellboy has to fight to save the world. And he's just going up this bloody corpse-ridden stairs just to fight Nimue. And he... yeah. Everything's just happening in this. This is such an epic volume right here. And yeah, as you can see, Hellboy is in fact fighting the Ogdru Jihad dragon as lightning's crashing everywhere and the world's ending, as I said. And yeah, let's see. Hellboy's heart gets ripped out, and Hellboy, who's unkillable, finally dies and is brought to the next stage of his journey. Hellboy in Hell. Now this is like, I want to say, the epilogue series. This is where Hellboy's been heading towards, like, his entire life. And, the death card. Just a minute. This is the one. Hellboy in Hell, The Descent. As you can see, Hellboy goes around running into old acquaintances, getting the hell beaten out of him. Hellboy in Hell, getting the hell beaten out of him. Yeah, that's pretty much it. He gets lost in the city. There's lakes of fire everywhere. Mike Mignola really introduces you to the terrain of Hell. You kind of get an idea of what his version of Hell is like. And find out really what his whole backstory is, his relationship with his father, how he was born, where he was sent, and why. And it's really cool. Like, he gets into fights with his family over the right hand of doom, and yeah, let's see. It's just a lot of demons and stuff, but yeah, it's just really cool artwork by Mike Mignola. Honestly, there is this part where he reaches Pandemonium, and he doesn't remember what happens, but essentially Satan's throat gets slit, and Satan himself dies, and a river of blood pours forth, and Hellboy is in Hell, and Hell is going to hell in a handbasket, let's just say. Everything's ending. And when Mike Mignola had Satan's throat get slit, he didn't realize, like, how impactful that would be to the story. He thought he would do this for more years, telling more Hellboy stories. But when he decided to have Satan's throat slit in his chamber in Pandemonium, that was, like, the beginning of the end of the Hellboy comic. He fights the gambling vampire of Prague. He goes around. He actually talks with Alice, who's on Earth. She's talking about how things are starting anew, but he can't be there. He can never come back. So, it's really cool, you know? Just a lot of stuff going on, and, I don't know, as you can see, just rivers of blood. There's his sister, and she's punished, and it gets to a point where he goes to a tree, he sits down, and Mike Mignola goes, "The end." And for Mike Mignola, he thought it was the end, but then he thought, I can do a better ending than that. So he went on, and it's revealed that he meets up with his bride he had in Mexico, and it's the reunion of Hellboy and his wife. It's really cool. Turns out she's like a very Lady Macbeth type character. As you can see, he starts remembering. She hands him the dagger, and while he doesn't remember it until now, he actually slices Satan's throat. Thus, like, they realize this is the end of everything. She gives him the ring, and yeah. Anyway, so what does Hellboy do? He decides to do what he's been putting off for a while, and he just starts wrecking house. He starts, like, as you can see, Hellboy proper, just giant like a mountain with his horns and the right hand of doom's burning, and he essentially razes hell to the ground. Just razes it to ashes, and yeah, it's pretty cool. But let's see. He then reverts back to his normal self by breaking off his horns. He comes to this house, and he essentially finds these shapes, and there's the light. Now, me and my sister were at a Comic-Con where Mike Mignola was at, and my sister did ask him what it meant, the shapes and the light in the house, and he said that the shapes were from a story called The Magician and the Serpent that were in The Amazing Screw-On Head, and it was a backup story, so that was what that meant. It's a very personal story for him, but the light at the last panel in the house, Mike Mignola explained that's where he stuck Hellboy, and that's where he'll find him if he ever needs Hellboy again. So, he put him in that room just in case he needs him again. That's where, I think that's pretty cool. And that is the rest of Hellboy. As you can see, it ties into the Arthurian myth, but it's its own narrative as well. But I figured since I was reviewing Arthurian stuff, I might as well review Hellboy in Hell. I would highly recommend checking out the comic book series. If you've just been watching my videos, shame on you. I hope I've inspired you to check out the Hellboy comics. There's great art from Mike Mignola and several other legendary artists. The stories are really great, the writing is fantastic, and overall, I'm just really happy with Hellboy. There's a new movie coming out. I know I've been talking about Nimue. Yeah, she's going to be played by Mila Jovovich in the movie, and it'll be interesting to see, because this could be the very first good movie Mila Jovovich has been in since Dazed and Confused. I think that's been like 26, 27 years since she's been in that. I'm not sure. But, man, how a career can last when people think you're beautiful. I mean, she hasn't been in anything good, really, so, the fact she kept getting cast, well, anyway, that's neither here nor there. If you like Mila Jovovich in any of her movies, good for you. I prefer Hellboy. I like the comics, and I like the movies, but the comics are the best, as they always are. Well, this is your friend the Connoisseur, signing off. If you like to, please comment, like, share, subscribe. I'll be posting more videos soon. I needed to take a break for a while, but I think I will be back for several more videos before I need to take a break again. Alright, take care, and have a wonderful evening, day, whatever. Peace.